The late tradition in the Fontainebleau Summer Academy, which Mademoiselle Boulanger was directing after World War II, in where she was teaching from 1921 when it was founded, having, among other American students, Copland as one of her first students there, was at the end, as always it is the case when you have a summer gathering of school or workshop. People develop quickly intense ties, human, just musical, of course, in a way, inevitably. The departure is painful and sad. And Mademoiselle Boulanger found a very elegant way to celebrate this sadness through one of the most respected, I would not say that, perhaps one of the most refined tenderness within a comic opera that, after all, the buffa opera Mozart, he learned that how to do so well. In Così fan tutte, there is this farewell that's faked, as we all know in the libretto at the end of the first act, where the two husbands leave to fakely leave to recheck on the fidelity of their wives whom they're trying to seduce back. But that kind of incredibly buffa situation of making some kind of satire, which it is, of humans' conditions, attitudes, and anyway, all that. Mademoiselle Boulanger, extracting it from its context, made us sing it, the Terzettino, which is sang by the protagonists in a solo version of trio voices. And it has these running thirds in the accompaniment in E major of the strings that, of course, represent in sound painting the waves of the boat on which the two husbands are embarking on this, in fact, improbable journey. And so while Mozart wrote this for the audience to realize that since the audience knows, but the characters, female characters, don't know, he could have written something extremely funny and cheap. Instead of this, he manages to write something so incredibly tender, regardless of the faint or or not earnest storytelling situation, but he wants to seize the moment, which for the character of the two newlywed ladies inevitably is sad because the newlywed husbands are leaving. And like all departures, train stations, airports today, of course, that moment is in every life of everybody who has every level of their own affections, is always tearing. And I find that so incredibly thoughtful of Mademoiselle Boulanger to extract that piece from the opera and make us sing it. And of course, guess who was on the piano? Emilio piano. So I was playing those thirds that are supposed to be so even and so rolling like the waves. And all the students, we were singing the three parts of the voices of the soloists. In a way, we were singing to wish ourselves a good farewell after this incredibly intense shared 2 months at the time, July and August, of American students in Fontainebleau, France, of course. But the point is that the last summer of Mademoiselle, which was summer of 79, we did gather to sing it to her as a serenade or a goodbye. She didn't teach that summer because she was too weak and she was on her bed, deathbed, in fact, because she died in October of that year. So late August, we sang for her this from her apartment, a few doors away from her bedroom in the chateau, in the castle's Louis XV wing. And I played the piano accompaniment as usual. It's difficult to say that we can play it or sing it without our tears to be at best withheld. I find that then we sang it in the restaurant where we used to have our meals as a goodbye also. And it became, in the few last years of Fontainebleau's last day of summer experience of all this, it became sort of an anthem, I guess, of ours. The Soave trio, Terzettino it's called, in the title of Mozart's. And I must say that, of course, nostalgia is what it is. And, well, I am nostalgia. So I, shortly after Mademoiselle's death, started playing it on the piano, all parts included, as a piano transcription, which in fact I wasn't really writing a transcription, just played whatever we were singing, plus what I was playing. But let's put it this way, since there is no singing, it's a transcription. It has that kind of bittersweet feel. The same tonality as the 8th cantata by Bach, which also is giving some kind of solace, as well as this as well. And the cantata 8 we sang on the church and concert hall concert at the end of our academy, in the public concert there. O Mensch, der weint ein Sünde groß is a chorale, but this is Ach, liebster Gott, wann werde ich sterben? Dear Jesus, when will I die? Was the title of this cantata. And we did the opening chorus with piano, double bass, pizzicato, and the chorus of all of our students. None of us is really a singer, with very few exceptions. But it was a nice project, summer-long-wise, evenings after dinner time, to work on the choir and sing all these beautiful Bach weekly written masterpieces of polyphony. And probably also sang relatively poorly, I admit. That must have been when you read the fact that the orphans of the city were singing it, who were residing in the apartment building adjacent to the church in Leipzig. So I understand from what biographers write that Bach was not very satisfied with the quality, but he can also blame it on himself in the best way for us, though. Not that anything else, but he wrote complex, chromatic, subtle, and there was no time to rehearse, and they were not professionals. Well, we were not really professional singers. And we had time to rehearse, I must say. But it was mostly because it brought us together, away from our individual projects. And that was very nice. And so singing the Terzettino for Mademoiselle, on top of it being the farewell for us, it was a farewell with her. A lot of emotions in this very elegant and very luminous, based on the major third Terzettino by Mozart, where he shows such finesse, such elegance. The make-believe is tender and earnest of this fake departure, but ours was real. Besides, those years were way before today's social systems to keep connected no matter what, no matter where. Then it was really the departure. Plus it was Cold War on top of it. So a lot of borders on all levels, and besides the financial, which is the essential border, is still, alas, holding on people. away from where they would like to be, etc. But it was marvelous and wonderful to see all these different age of young or less young adults coming to the well of Mademoiselle Boulanger, who was giving them advice, solace, courage, specific advices on the grammar of music making, or more of a philosophical approach towards how to serve the muse. And like a philosopher, not with any rancor, just saying if she considers that somebody's talent and character will allow this service to go ahead and help others and organize things, and who would conduct, who would teach, who would compose, who would organize, etc. Or she was not anything but a very trusted advice, since after all she was a Fauré student and a Copland teacher. I think that was pretty enough for most of all of us there around her to revere her words.